candidates, they have two questions. The first question is to do a letter. It's called Task 1 and the time allocated is 20 minutes. The word count is 150 words. I'll first talk about the letter. We've all written letters way back in school. Some of us who are employed in our professions, and we also write friendly letters. However, the art of writing is today dying out. Most of us write emails. Now, let's come back to the test. So the general candidates are expected to write a letter. The letters come in three distinct patterns. One pattern is called the formal letter. Now, what do I mean by a formal letter? I write to a person who I do not know personally, but I know him by designation, or I'm writing to a company. So, what is my salutation? How do I address the person? It's dear sir. And when I use dear sir, I normally end up with yours faithfully. So, when I write a formal letter, what am I doing? I write, I come directly to the point, and I have different purposes. Maybe my purpose is to inquire. Maybe my purpose is to raise a complaint. So, according to what I'm doing, my tone will differ. The IELTS letter does not ask for any reference or a subject. We begin directly. The second type of the letter is the semi-formal. Now, semi-formal means it's partly formal and not fully. Where can I write, or where can I use this method of writing? So I use it when I'm aware of the person as an individual, but still my subject matter or my content is official, and therefore I call it a semi-formal letter. For example, I'm a tenant and I'm writing a letter to my landlord. Now, this is an official matter because I have entered into an agreement with the landlord, and perhaps I now want to terminate my agreement earlier for a particular reason. Having stayed there for 2 years, I definitely know the person by name, and he also knows my name. So it's quite in order if I'm going to address him as Dear Mr. Smith. So I could say Dear Mr. Smith, and when I end, I could say yours sincerely. The third type of a letter is what I write to a friend or an acquaintance or a neighbor. So if I'm on very good terms with my neighbor, I address him by his name, Dear Jonathan. If it's my friend, I will only address her by her name. So I will say, Dear Kathleen. And when I end my letter, I'm not going to say yours faithfully, neither will I say yours truly, but I'll say with love, because it's a friendly letter. Now let's see what the examiners are looking at and what is the structure behind the letter. The letter has to have an addressee. Who are you writing it to? What is the purpose of your letter? And how do you wind up? If you understand the purpose of the letter, you are able to differentiate whether it's a formal letter, it's an informal letter, or it's a friendly letter. On the day of the examination, you will be given the letter question very clearly printed out, write a letter, what is the purpose, what are the guidelines to the letter, and you need to follow the guidelines. If you switch the guidelines, you are not writing the letter given to you by the examiner. You are writing your own letter. I have a few tips for the people who are writing the general letter. Invest a few minutes to read the question and identify what exactly you have to do. Follow the points or the bulleted points to ensure that that is reflected in the body of your letter. Do not extend the letter to more than 150 words because the content matter will only be repeated. Keep it brief. Let it pertain to what is required. Maintain your language, your grammar, your appropriate vocabulary, and wind up with perhaps 155 up to 160 words. Now, why do I say 160 words? The question calls for 150 words. If you can deliver within 155 or 160, you are well within the quantity and the quality of your letter.